Welcome. You've discovered the Paraspective, where your hosts Huck, J-Lo, and Shaggy discuss their thoughts, theories, and opinions on all things paranormal. This is an adult-rated podcast. Some topics of discussion may be offensive. Listener discretion advised.
Yo, what up, Paraheads? I'm Shaggy, and I'm here with my co-hosts,
J-Lo
and
Huck.
And we're part of the paranormal investigation team known as the Para-holiX, and we're here to give you our Paraspective. Now let's get this para party started.
Well, we have a guest with us today.
Yeah, one of our team members decided to join us.
Nicholas the Coon. About time.
The wife's out of town. I'm not That's the only reason why he's with us.
No. I don't have to ask for permission this time.
Well, we're not investigating. See, if we've been investigating, he
totally
wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm the Coke bottle.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I can't go.
I can't make it. I'm sorry.
I cherished the one time we got to investigate with this guy. I was like,
right?
I'm about
That's
to
the
frame
first
it.
time I met him. We've been talking for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Y'all been in the intro to our paranormal videos for how many years now? And they'd never even met.
No. I've known this guy for like 10 years and never spoke to him once.
Seriously.
Wow.
I got his number somehow. I was texting him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was getting your text messages going, who's this number?
Who's this dude? Alright, so what are we discussing in this episode? John? Oh, no! I was doing calling him out. Well, you put me on blast.
You're the coordinator.
This episode we're going to address the whole ghost theory is what I'm calling it. So it's our opinions on what we believe paranormal activity actually is.
Right.
What
I mean, ghosts, demons, poltergeists, all of it.
Yeah. So we just want to try to get all of our perspectives on what we think it is and then elaborate on that. So if you want, John,
who wants to take the floor?
What do you?
John.
What is?
No. Let's fix the guy that never talks.
Oh, you know what?
10 minutes in.
How about we
let the guests go?
When it comes down to it, ghost and demons, and blah 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 blah. It's just something you can't physically explain. That's what I've always felt like the paranormal was.
Right.
It's something like, hey, this thing fell. That the wind didn't blow it down, and that didn't do this, and I can't physically explain why this happened. It's something paranormal until I can put something to it, and it goes for everything, not just out of the ghost region. It's Bigfoot or UFOs.
Right.
You know, that's how I've always felt about the paranormal.
Would you say though that your beliefs are grounded in a religious standpoint, or would you?
Oh, with him, very, very much.
Oh, yeah.
Rigid.
Oh, so rigid. I hug that Bible every night. Let me tell you about it.
Y'all can't see at home, but he's completely dressed in like a Catholic outfit. He's got a cross on. It's amazing.
Oh,
I thought
every
he was a
church in
priest.
a 30-mile radius just set on fire.
You know,
sacrilege at its finest.
it started religious,
It did.
and then I really dug into like religion itself, and then I just figured it's all a crock of shit. I'm gonna believe whatever I believe and then go on my way. Not that there's no God.
Right.
I just believe in a different aspect of God. Not
The
I'm gonna
Bible's
read the
full
Bible.
of paranormal stuff.
I'll tell you about this. Jesus said this. It happened a long time ago.
Right.
So
That was thousands of years ago.
So the history.
What do they know?
It's history.
Don't need
So-
that.
So I've heard people put it this way, that they believe that those ancient times, the Bible and things of that nature were just like us today. Just people living, doing their thing, nothing paranormal or holy or whatever, however you want to call it. Is that your take? I mean, is that how you look at religion? So if
religion, the way I look at religion is, you know what, Shaggy believes in this, but I don't really go for that, and I kind of believe this way, so I'm going to go start with a bunch of other common, like-minded people and start my own thing.
I actually believe in that.
Is that atheistic, though?
No, that isn't atheistic, not believe in God at all.
I mean, the definition of atheism is just that, though. Is believing in...
So we're kind of drifting a bit
no,
I think what the topic was originally going to be. But.
Well, I think what I was trying to get at was you say you believe in the paranormal and seeing stuff moving, abnormalities and things, but what are they rooted in, though? Like, how have you ever considered, like, what causes it? Like, is it a spirit? Is it a demon? Is it an alien that's in another light spectrum that you can't see, touching and moving stuff? Or, like, you know... Because that's kind of what I believe, too. You know, I have that... Mine's not all religiously based, but somewhat is, too.
When it comes down to, like, an EVP or, like, you know, you hear something, it could go down to a basic religious aspect. But if it's something like, I don't know, someone's getting hurt or someone's completely batshit crazy, then it's like, okay,
you have to determine.
Yeah, you have to break it down. And there's a lot of different factors in there. Usually whenever I go into a place, it's you're batshit crazy until something happens to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
Yeah. That's a good mindset. Well, I mean, you know, that's how we look at every investigation. You know, there's nothing here. At least that's how I go into it. There's nothing here. It's going to have to prove. Yeah. You know, I need some proof.
Y'all are liking that way.
Yeah.
You know.
Now, if we're talking about the paranormal in general, or if I think our plan was for this one was to more focus on the ghost end of it and exactly what. You know, because traditionally speaking, and you can see this when you look at any of the TV shows or pretty much any other paranormal team I've ever looked at, they all go in with the preconceived notion that ghosts are real, number one. They're interacting with and capturing evidence of ghosts. Some are mean, some are nice, some are just lost. And if it's something really, really nasty, then it's a demon, and that's something that's never been in a body, and that's something you don't want to mess with. And that's kind of what I thought we were going to look at with this podcast, because my take on what I just said, totally opposite from everything I just said. It couldn't be more wrong as far as I'm concerned, and I'll explain later. But that's kind of the premise we were looking at, right? I mean, that's why I wanted everybody's take on that. Traditionally speaking, what do you think a ghost, demon, poltergeist, paranormal activity from that aspect? What do you personally think it is?
Pass.
Well, all right.
Wow,
John.
Thanks for joining us there.
John number 2.
We'll see you next week.
Some sort of residual energy, or parallel.
Now, I left that out. Good point.
Bleed through.
Right.
Something like that. I don't necessarily.
Now you're looking at some. That's out of the box thinking right there. That's what I'm
funny
talking about.
That's kind of how I think too. So that's pretty good.
I don't think any of it comes to me in any way.
Have you ever had an experience?
No.
At all?
No.
Not one.
Nothing.
I mean,
wow.
Only that little orb that we, both you and I saw.
Well,
that was it.
Yeah, because we
at
did
the Built
see
Barn
that
at the Black Swan Inn.
I fell asleep.
The undisclosed location. But anyhow,
the Milk Barn. I fell asleep there.
That was the Petot Depot in Oklahoma.
Exactly. In Kansas City, over somewhere in Australia.
But anyhow, so yeah, we did see that light, and that light.
I forgot all about that.
That light moved, and we both described the way it moved into that other room, and. Yeah. I mean, we clearly saw that, and how do you explain it?
Did you see it with the side of your eye or direct? I saw it with the side of my eye.
I saw it with the side as I was turning, and as I looked, it went out the door.
And both cameras were pointed.
Yeah. So we saw that, dude. It was pretty amazing. And then later on that night, we had all the activity with my little sensor, the ghost meter.
Oh, yeah.
Because I wonder, this is slightly off, but I wonder if that has anything to do with, like, the paranormal, how they say you see something out of the corner of your eye, but then you go to look and it's gone. But you ever think about at nighttime in complete darkness, that is your best vision. You cannot look directly at something and see it. You have to look out of the corner of your eye.
That's a common thing that most people report when they have activity. They saw something out of the corner of their eye. All the Shadow Man reports, it's always out of the corner of their eye for the most part, and they look and it's gone. That's a classic report. Now, for me...
We weren't asking you, Huck.
Yeah. Go ahead. He knows. He's got to let someone else talk, because if they're not, I'm going to do it.
Well, we're going to break. It's good because we kind of break the direction it's going up, because he and I do see it kind of eye to eye. So Mine's a little deeper than that, but you go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is basically, yeah, if this mic's a ball, I'm a ball hog. But basically, I don't look at ghosts like the way of looking at it is, people say it's the spirit of deceased loved ones, right? Humans. I don't see the evidence for that myself. Now, we have captured anomalies that can point to various different directions, and that could be one of them. But I don't see any hardcore evidence that proves to me that we're interacting with what people consider what people would say ghosts are. We're definitely interacting with something. I just don't know if I believe that it's ghost in the traditional sense. But like John brought up, definitely there's residual stuff, and I think that's all energy. That's science. That's not really paranormal at all, in my opinion. Demons, that's a total separate subject, which takes it back to the Bible stuff like you were talking about, Nick. But a lot of these people, like Mary Ellen Guiley, a highly respected person in the paranormal field, she writes several books on this kind of stuff. But her take, like a lot of others, is that demons are these entities, these malicious, negative entities that have never been in a body. The problem with that is they always are trying to get in a body, yours in particularly. Why? What is their motivation? What is the drive to get into a body if they've never been in one already, right? From a biblical sense, demons are basically when the fallen angels and the earth women, Genesis 6 stuff. If you've looked into that, you know what I'm talking about, where the fallen angels mated with earth women, produced a hybrid race that was half and half. Yeah, they were. Yeah. So when they died, they were an unauthorized creation,
and they were trapped here.
They were trapped here. They weren't not only in a body, they were in the bodies. They were the gods. They were the demigods. They were superheroes. When they lost those bodies, they were wandering spirits with no place to go. Yeah, they went back in a body because they remember what it was like to eat, drink, have sex, all that stuff, and now they can do none of that. To me, that makes more sense as to what a demon actually is. But as far as the traditional ghost, from a religious standpoint, my parents, they're straight up, religious
well, the Bible
like
says
that.
It can't. The soul doesn't wander aimlessly
right
after death.
Biblically speaking, it says, what does it say? It's like a man is appointed to live once and then the judgment or something like that. But, the traditional sense, the way they look at ghosts, everything's demons. It's all demons. You shouldn't be messing with any of this stuff.
That's traditional. That's a traditional Christian mindset. Right.
That's why my parents are kind of the same way. They don't like what I do.
You're right. Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Your mom tells us all the time.
My dad says all the time. He'll ask where we've gone and what we've done, and I'll tell him, and he goes, "You just don't know what you're messing with, boy. You just wait till you actually find what you're looking for." And it's not like the TV shows. It's just not.
But how is it that we're looking for it, but then other people who aren't, they get to interact with it?
Right. Yeah, it's a strange coincidence, isn't it?
Very much is.
That you hear all these stories, and there's all these TV shows, on TV now. It's like every network has a ghost story show.
Yeah.
Right. My house is haunted, and all this haunting.
Celebrity haunting or something.
Yeah. And there's so many cases of people having the classic interaction that we thrive for.
Right.
That we go and search for. I mean, just short of begging for, and it doesn't happen.
How much of the haunting shows? How much of it's dramatized? Do you think the walls really ooze?
Right.
I've never seen
a lot of that.
Wall.
I think it's.
I would have to see it myself.
Well, they're retelling the story though.
Yeah, they're gonna look.
They have to make it interesting.
I can tell you
TV.
a story about how. I did my first slam dunk, but I'm not going to tell you that I jumped up on a chair and then did it.
Trampoline. Right.
So with that being said, you were raised in a little background on Shaggy real quick. He was raised in your kind of typical Southern Christian home.
Mm-hmm.
Father does Bible prophecy, and mom is diehard Christian as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that background, and one would think that your whole idea would be rooted in that.
Right.
So why don't you think traditionally like that? Like what?
Because I don't see the evidence to support that.
But I thought, biblically speaking, you don't have to.
Well,
it's by faith, right? I mean,
well, it is by faith, but I'm curious by nature.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I want to go out and I want to find it for myself. You know,
and you know what? I just had an idea too as you were talking. You are, out of all of us, the one who hadn't had anything. I mean, you heard some clothes hangers move once. You've seen some stuff, and you've heard some
I was there.
EVPs.
yeah, you were there for that. Yeah.
But you've never had an interaction like I've had.
Right.
Direct contact.
Now that's a good point. I guess that's what me and John are talking about. We've never had direct interaction. You know, we've not been touched or scratched or slapped.
Seen an apparition.
Yeah, have it seen. Yeah, nah. Now we've had, on the scale of encounters, like the what is the extraterrestrial encounter? There's like third close encounters. There's different levels.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
Yeah.
If you follow that scale, we're way down.
In the 0.5s.
Yeah, something like that. I think that we've definitely encountered enough to make us want to continue doing it. And we think there's something to it. We're just not convinced. And I guess that was my whole point, was that I'm not convinced ghosts are what people traditionally think they are. Like when you look at the TV shows, what do you got? Ghost hunters, ghost adventures, ghost asylum, ghost stalkers, ghost brothers. Do you see a trend happening here?
Yeah.
So there's that premeditated thing that it's all ghost from the traditional sense that we've been told. But where's the evidence for it? A lot of it, is like, we joke about ghost hunters all the time, where he's like, something will happen and it'll be like, is this the ghost of little Tommy who fell in the well telling us that blah, 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 leading the witness, Your Honor. I mean, a lot of that is just pure 100% speculation with no proof to back that up. But people that don't do this themselves or don't think about it, they'll follow right
it's
in line with
because they're manipulating the viewer
Exactly.
by editing and by not directly stating.
Yeah.
They're asking the question on TV, and so then the viewer is like, oh, well, they said.
Yeah,
That's
same
not true.
with the EVPs and Ghost Rock's responses, where they tell them what it says first and then let them see it.
Yeah.
Then they cue the spooky music, cut to a commercial right when something crazy happens. I mean, it's all set up to be entertaining, which is that's what it is.
Well, they got to keep their ratings. If they
And
don't,
I
they don't
totally-
stay on there.
now,
I mean,
I respect that. I understand that because they have to. But I don't take it seriously as real paranormal investigations.
and what's funny is these shows that are long-running shows, like Ghost Adventures, I'll use them as an example.
Yeah.
It's like when they get started, they have.
We're not
some
Zach Baggins on, we're just...
But when they get started, they have a couple of good things, a couple of good finds, and then they just kind of flatlines for a while. And so what you see is these theatrics that start to come in.
Yeah.
And they start doing a lot of reenacting, and they have, like I noticed with Ghost Adventures, they'll have like people in blood, and they'll be reenacting it.
Yeah.
And they never did that in the beginning.
No.
So
hey, they do a good job. They're well edited. They're entertaining. They're exactly what they're supposed to be. But I don't take it seriously as actual paranormal investigation. And so what does that mean as far as what we're saying, what ghosts actually are? Well, they're creating the stereotype of what people will believe a ghost is. Now, people that have actually had an encounter, that's different. I mean,
but I also think they're simplifying it by using like a universal word as ghost for people to get along the lines of watching it.
Yeah.
They say poltergeist or something like that on TV, that they're not going to watch the show as fast as they would ghost.
Right.
Sure, I see that too. It's definitely going with the same mindset and training the viewer so that they know what to expect.
We're interacting with something. It's just we're saying we don't know what that is, and nobody else really does either. Regardless of whether they've been doing this for 4 years or 400 years, there is no pros or experts. They're just people that are, they got more experience. Yeah. But even they, I mean, how do you... No one knows for sure what it is.
There's not a book on ghost hunting.
How are you going to define experience, though, with them? I mean, how did you guys all start? You got a tape recorder and a camera and you just started talking to the dark.
Basically. For us, it was just curiosity.
Yeah.
Because some people get started because they got that classic I was raised in a haunted house story.
Right.
Or my grandfather died and the next day he came to visit me. Or the best ones is when... they have a relative that called them or came to see them, and then they find out, they actually died 5 hours before they came to see you. How do you explain that? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. But that's never happened to me. Not even close. So, you know what I mean? I can't speak to that.
And we're giving our perspective on what we think it is.
Right.
But the whole intent of our group is just to catch it on film, you know.
Exactly.
We just want other people to see it. And for us who have had experiences like myself, and I have enough that could be a whole separate podcast.
Right.
I mean, in all reality, I feel like I've just been short of sitting down next to one and having a conversation.
Well, you was raised in a house that used to be
a funeral home, for God's sake. So,
nice.
You know, the perks of being poor. You know?
Perks of being poor.
Nobody else wants to live there.
Oh no.
So short sale.
And I guess that leads me right into what my idea of them are, and it's kind of a combination of, I guess, everybody's ideas, but more directly so, I have two aspects on what I think ghosts are.
Okay.
So one of them is the residual energy left behind, because it's a proven fact, way before the Matrix came along, that we are electrical energy. You know, and it's funny, me and my son had this conversation today about how they were harvesting us for energy. We are energy.
Right.
When you die, that energy doesn't have an on and off switch, technically, because your brain can continue to function without the heart. So if your heart stops and you get blood pumping your brain, you'll go on living.
Yeah.
So that person that is Shaggy or John or Nick, it's in your brain. It's here. People say it's in your soul. It's in your heart. It's not. All your makeup's up here. So when you die, that has to bleed out. So when it bleeds out, and there's been proof of this. There have been people who have filmed people as they die. They see an aura of some light color leave the body.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
And so
goes back to source.
I believe that.
That is.
I believe that energy. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Let's just say, for example, for you at home that's watching right now, you'll get the visual. If you're listening, just follow along here. John, this is John's home, so you live here for 40 years, and that's your spot. That's John's spot. That's his spot. Everybody knows it's his spot, you know.
Right.
Every day he comes home from work, he sits down, he eats dinner, he watches TV, he gets up and he goes there and he comes back. 40 years from now, unfortunately, John passes away, as we all are. One day his wife's coming through the house and she sees you walk through that door. It's a playback. It's like, if you've ever owned a plasma TV, I always use the plasma TV as an example, but it's computer screens did this long before plasma TVs.
Oh, yeah.
If you leave your computer monitor on for too long, the image will get burned into it, and it's real common, right? You see it all the time. It's no different. You get up and you walk through that door every day, and that pathway becomes your energy. And so that's one of my ideas. I firmly believe that, and I've had that idea backed up by a Catholic priest.
Right.
We lived in an apartment in Baytown, right over here in the village. It's a rough neighborhood. We lived there,
The village.
and
did the Warriors come out to play? Just checking.
And jerk. So we actually they actually had a gunfight one night right in front of our apartment. Yeah. We were laying in bed and you could see the gunfire coming out the barrels.
Dang.
That's how rough it was. So we're living there, and my wife, we're starting to have these experiences where she'll walk by like the VCR and it'll turn on and start rewinding, and we're all in bed in the fold out couch one night in the living room. We had a wraparound and we got our kids and we're all piled up and we're watching TV. TV time's over. Kids go to bed. The wife gets up, walks around the wraparound this way, goes towards the bedroom over here on this wall, and as she approaches the door, you hear TV come on. She stops. She steps away from the door. It goes off right over the couch, dude. She jumps over the couch, back onto the bed with me. She goes, "Did you hear that?" And I said, "Yeah, what was that?" She goes, "The TV."
That was the NSA. They were just messing.
I went in there. They're like toying with her through the window.
What's this, Bob?
So that was the first incident. The second one, which is what made me decide to go to Old Baytown over there to the Catholic Church and get the priest to come to the house, which is what I did. Just like out of a movie. I drove up, talked to the people. I said, "Look, I need to speak to a priest. We've got a haunting." You
were on the show A Haunting.
Yes.
Basically.
I need to be. If anybody at home's watching this and know any executives or producers, 832-312-4005. So anyway, the incident that led up to that was, one night we're watching TV. She's sitting by that door at this point. No, the wraparound's gone. So we have a chair here and a couch there. I'm sitting across from the door. Our daughter's in the bedroom, newborn. and it's dark in there, and the door's open. Well, the carpet was real hard. The doors were hard to push because the carpet was real plush.
Right.
You just hear, bam! We look up, and the door closed on its own. So I went and got this priest. He come to the house, and he said, "Look,
this is all classic stuff, by the way."
Yeah, and he described it to me. He told us this very thing, that ghosts, or not ghosts, but people's energy. Some people have the ability. This is a great idea too. Some people have the ability to absorb energy more than others. Mm-hmm. So, for example, if you had a family of 6 that lived in your home, they move out, you move in. My wife, for example, she's one of these kind of people who's RHA negative, by the way, which is alien blood type.
Oh,
who have the ability,
really?
Yeah, who
That's
have
a whole
the ability,
podcast.
who have the ability to absorb that energy. So he described it to us like this: if there was a traumatic incident in that apartment, a death, a shooting, a stabbing, something crazy, we moved in,
behind.
She absorbed it. Now she's walking around. She's a magnet, dude.
Now this is like Poltergeist.
Almost.
This is leading us into
so
that.
She's walking around with basically a positive, negative terminal hanging off of her.
Dang.
And she's waiting to touch something electronic and make it come on and off. So
now, when was the last time something like that happened to Tina?
Wow, the house in Pearland, where I had the hair.
Where you had some activity in that house.
Had quite a bit.
Interesting.
So that was my first theory. The other theory, this one here, it's pretty far fetched, but
aliens.
I'm a believer. I am a jerk. I'm a firm believer in aliens. Okay, now listen. We live in a light spectrum. It's not a theory. It's not an idea.
Right.
It's a fact.
Absolutely.
We live in a light spectrum.
Yes.
Made up of a couple of different colors. There are other colors, and that is a separate light spectrum. You have to have tools and cameras that are set up with different lenses and filters to see in that spectrum.
Right.
I think, in some way, that these beings, they're all around us at any given moment. Kind of even goes back to the religious idea that there's battles being waged for your soul right now. There's angels and demons battling right above your head for your soul. So, not in that direct idea, but I think that these beings have the ability to resonate their own environment, their own area, spot, so to speak. So they can be right here, right now, looking at us, and you can't see them.
Would that also be dimensional?
I don't know if it'd be dimensional as much as layers. Like, I don't know another way of saying that, but it'd be multi-layered in the sense that they're there and you can't interact with them, but they see you.
I see that as dimensional. You know, like if we're three-dimensional beings, like we do not have the ability to see into, following what you're saying, or interact the fourth, fifth, and higher dimensions. Kind of like that movie with Matthew McConaughey. What was it? The one that just came out that you don't watch. Never mind. Interstellar. Yes.
Okay.
Like that.
I did see that movie.
Whoa.
But here's the thing, though. I think that's a little more complex, and you may be giving that more credit than it's due. I think I think in simple terms. And here's the thing, guys. I like to put everything out there in the most layman aspect or terminology I can, so that everybody gets it. These things are just beings that have the ability and have all these powers that we don't. Are they telepathic, telekinetic energies, different? I don't know, but I just feel like they have the ability to project themselves in a light spectrum that is negative to ours.
But even if it was, if that's all it was just a light spectrum, that would mean we just couldn't see them. But if he was standing right here in front of me, I would be able to hit him. If he's just in a different light spectrum.
But what
he's projecting.
Maybe he's projecting, or maybe he's resonating in and out.
Well, now see, that's what I'm saying. But to me, that's also dimensional.
But
it's a different resonance frequency.
But what about all these cases you hear where they're like, I was on my bed and I saw the impression of somebody sitting on my bed. So they could be fulfilling that spot.
Again, that's the NSA with a cloaking device. No, I'm just saying.
But if you think about it in the way I'm describing it, and I'm not just trying to influence y'all's way of thinking here, but at the same time, it makes sense. Like, it's not a question if we have these incidents.
Right.
It's not a question if we're interacting with something. It's what is it?
Exactly.
And so you have to look at, is it intelligent or is it just residual? And so, along with my idea of it being two different things, one would be residual, which is the energy left behind. Two would be intelligent, which is an outside source we're interacting with.
Right.
And it's here all the time.
Yeah.
It's been here long before we came here.
Oh, yeah.
And at this point, it's just kind of moved out of the way so we can exist. And occasionally it interacts with us or bumps into things, knocks things down. Maybe as it walks by, its cloaking device kind of turns off for a second and knocks my hat off. I'm like, oh crap, It's not a happenstance, guys. But
it also has, and this is where they get the idea of it being demons or a trickster-like entity, or like the jinn, right? Because if it knows it's not your, Aunt Sue or whatever, but it appears to you as such and pretends to be, that's a negative thing. Oh, is that time for a break?
No, that was the 30-minute mark.
That's our 30-minute marker. So we're gonna take a small break, people. We'll be right back.
Okay. We would like to take this time to thank everybody for checking us out here on the Paraspective podcast. We'd also like to remind everybody to please go check out our website, Para-holiX.com. That's Para-holiX.com, where you can find links to our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, as well as information about us and what we've been up to. And now, back to the show. Back to the show. Back to the show. Para-holiX.
Para-holiX.
Back to the show. Back to the show.
Para-holiX.
And now, back to the show. Back to the show. And now, Para-holiX.
Para-holiX.
And we're back. Okay. Did you miss us?
I feel like I haven't moved.
So, in case you're just joining us, we're talking about ghosts and what we believe the paranormal or ghosts actually are. And Shaggy was just saying that in relationship to interaction, and you were saying the jinn.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Taking on the...
Because, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where some people have actually reported that they had a loved one, like a grandpa or something like that, would come to see them, and say goodbye, and they're kind of confused, Grandpa, you live in Canada, what are you doing here, and then they find out that he actually died, 5 hours ago. I don't know how to explain that, That, to me, that kind of aspect would appear to support the theory that ghosts are exactly what is commonly thought of. I've never had that experience. I don't even think I know anybody that's had, something like that. But I don't know. Maybe it's D, all of the above. So I want to toss it y'all's direction. What do y'all think?
My grandma had that experience.
Okay.
My uncle passed away, and I think one of her sisters passed away. When my uncle died. He died in like 95, 96. Mm-hmm. And he had AIDS, so he got pneumonia and he died. Mm-hmm. And my grandma was at home, and she said she saw him walk around the apartment like nothing. And he's like, "I'll see you later, Mom. Take care. You'll be fine." And then she went right to the hospital and found out that he had passed away 15 minutes before.
Wow.
Her sister, I don't remember that fucking story. That was a story I heard a long time ago. But she kept seeing her sister around her house, and then she got a phone call an hour later saying her sister had passed away.
Well, now here's one that I take that back. I do have a story that really is hard to explain, from my perspective. The Mysterious Boom podcast. Another shout out for those guys. Awesome bunch of people. Absolutely. Christy tells a story, and I know you'll remember this one where I'm going with it, but I believe it was her aunt. Her aunt was, I can't remember what she said, kind of autistic maybe, but she had a funny way of talking, very specific to her. And before she died, she had moved into a den area of their parents' home. I believe it was her mother's home. She needed help. I believe is how the story goes. But she didn't like boys or men or children. It was something like that. And I believe it was Christie's son. I may be butchering the hell out of the story, but I got the main point, and this is the jaw dropping point to it. He goes off in there to play by himself, and he comes back. So I want to say he was like 2 or 3. He was really young, and they asked, why did you come back? What's wrong? And he says, the lady doesn't like me. She wants me to go, or she told me to leave, and she actually told him, and this was classic to her. She would say, "Get go, boy," or you get go, boy," and that's the way she would talk, and that's exactly what he said. The lady told him. There was no lady in there.
So she's passed on already. She's
gone.
And this little boy is
one of the somebody's son. She said, "You get go, boy," and said it exactly how. And she died before he was born, so he never met her, and they never talked about these stories around him.
He clearly interacted with something.
He clearly interacted. So what are we forced to believe here at this point? That ghosts are exactly what people believe they are, and the spirit of her was there, and she didn't leave. She stayed, right. Or that was a demon pretending to be that. But my problem with that idea, and this goes back to my parents' thoughts. We go to Yoakum Memorial, we go to Yorktown, and all these old creepy asbestos-filled black mold hospitals, and there's demons just sitting around waiting on us to show up so we can say doctor in an EVP for us. They got nothing better to do but wait for us to come up here. That doesn't make any sense.
It makes no
sense.
Well,
what if you break it down like this, going back to energy when we pass on? What if the judgment is we're just roaming around with this energy that's just roaming until the judgment, quote unquote, comes?
I guess that could be. I mean, but
think about how many people have came before us though and gone.
A lot of people,
dude. You would think your interaction rate possibilities would exponentially grow.
You should be able to have activity 24/7 everywhere.
They don't want to talk. They're like,
they don't necessarily apply
dead,
to.
I don't want to talk anymore.
To time and space,
Right.
If they can be anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if you go back to the Bible, it says that though. Once you pass on, you should be able to travel the speed of thought. I mean, it's not that said that directly, but it's been taken that way. Yeah. That you have powers of a god,
Like we were talking.
Or can you take on the form of anybody? So if they're like, hey, this person, we need somebody to look like this person and pay him a visit. Hey, you got that? All right,
got this covered.
I'm Abe Lincoln for a day.
We don't need the actual person. You're busy doing other things.
Right. Well, that follows what we were talking about earlier today. How there's that joke meme about the ghost hunters. Where it says goes to a castle in Romania and expects to get responses in English, but the silly thing about that is they're assuming that once you pass on that you don't have any extra knowledge, that I don't know any other languages pretty much at all. So when I pass on, that's implying that idea means that I'm still only going to know English, and I'm not going to not going to have access to more information, more knowledge.
So if a Spanish speaking group shows up to investigate, you're going to talk to them in their language.
Exactly.
You have to.
That's what they mean.
But whatever we are after leaving our body, we're still limited to what we had in the body.
No, I don't think so. And you know what? That goes back to I don't like reflecting back on the Bible or using it as a reference, but I was raised in a Christian home, hardcore, and so I'm kind of forced to only reflect back on what I've been taught.
Exactly.
And so, according to the Bible, then you would have a limitless power. You would have travel speed of thought. You'd be able to read people's minds. You'd be able to see in the future, see into the past.
I think that's supposed to be after you get your new body, towards the end, after everything goes down.
Theoretically.
Right.
But who's to say that didn't happen immediately?
That's a good point.
So
it depends too on, and this is going to lead into what we want to talk about in another podcast with the whole, holographic idea. It's linked. So is the paranormal unified field theory. It really, what are we exactly? If we are a spirit, right, that's true reality, not this organic, physical world that we see now. That's not real reality. That was a created reality. If we really are in other words, a spirit realm or world is true reality, that's what we really are. We're just inhabiting this meat suit. So, you know what I'm saying? I mean, once we're out of this body, we're back
to
in
what's
true
real.
reality. Exactly, we're
True,
back in what's real. And, you know, I mean, because there's a lot of, you know, speaking biblically again, there's a lot of scriptures that would allude to that. You know, where Jesus actually said to one of the disciples, you know, I knew you before the foundations of the earth were laid. Not that I knew of you, not that I knew that you human, you know, intelligent monkeys were going to be created. No, I knew you personally. Well, how is that possible?
Yeah, it's like he's
unless
from
we existed in a prior form before this.
That would give you the impression that God has like a human soul Rolodex, and he's just waiting to pull your card. You know, send you packing the earth. And
you know,
then you come
I
back.
kind of think of that whole thing when there's people being born. You know, it's like, okay, here you go. You're going to that body. You're next in line. The next one born, that's you.
That would also back up the idea of people with past life recollection. You know, there's a lot of people there's been factual stories of people who were like, I was an army pilot in 1942, and this 4-year-old little kid. You know, there's a story about this.
I have a scar on my forehead.
I know about
killed.
This.
You know,
this kid is able to tell the names.
Yeah,
there's a kid. This kid was able to tell the names of his friends.
Yep.
The airplane type that he crashed in, where he crashed, everything, and the parents are just freaking out. You know.
Yep.
There was the one that I saw that was just like that. They had to take the boy out on a boat trip.
I saw it. That's the same one.
And provide a memorial and tell him you gotta let this go because you got a life you gotta live now.
He was burdening himself, man.
Yeah.
This kid was carrying a heavy heart.
Yeah.
Over this because he knew he left behind people. Like he was talking about his mom and a picture. Something about a picture.
Yeah, he went and found this lady who happened to still be alive, and he said, "There's a picture that I want that's in your attic," and it was up there.
Dude,
see, that's how do you?
That's so compelling.
I know, you get the chills.
So compelling, man.
A freaking kid. Those are the best.
He drew the planes and everything.
Yeah. He knew stuff that he said,
"This is what I flew."
And you know that's just probably one of 100 or a couple hundred cases that really came to light. You know, in the mainstream media. How many didn't? You know, how many people live with that and don't want to bring it up because they don't think they're crazy.
Exactly. Like there's that one where that lady, the classic story, you know, she died on the operating table, comes out of her body, floats out the window, and sees a shoe on the ledge that you could only see from her vantage point, which was floating outside the window. You know, you couldn't just look out the window and see it. They had to actually get out and go. I don't remember the particulars, but when the lady convinced her the nurse to go do it, she found the shoe, same color, exactly where she said it was.
Wow.
How do you explain that?
You know, there's a couple of things I think that we as human beings live with our whole life, and one of them is the big question of what happens to us when we die.
Right.
I don't think that is an uncommon commonality amongst us all.
Right.
So you know, we want answers. We want to know what's going to happen to us. You know,
right.
Nobody wants to think that all this is in vain, and I get to live maybe 60 or 70 years, and then I just die like a dog in the street, and nothing
Lights
ever happens.
out.
Yep,
done.
I'm just another. You know,
that'll also get into our next podcast. That's what we want to talk about, because that may be exactly what it is.
So with that being
with
that being said, I think our podcast. I think sometimes these things give people hope. You know, I think it gives you hope because I have interacted with stuff that I can't explain. I've had interactions with ghosts. What would you call ghosts? I don't know that they were necessarily, but the noise that I heard when I was a teenager. You know, I've heard recently people giving explanations for that whatever these beings are coming into light and out of light, that effect is creating that sound. Okay, right. So that's one. And the other was being touched by something, which nowadays I'm hearing more and more people say it's ectoplasm, and it feels like spider webs. You know,
the hair incident.
Yeah, I had getting in bed one night, and I literally feel long locks of hair being dragged across my face, up my face. And I mean, it's so real, and it was such a crazy event. Like I
thought a beer drinking Mike though had a good explanation of what that was. He said that it was his underarm hair, and he just like rubbed his pit over your face, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Well, that's a separate story.
Yeah. That was the night before that happened. But you know, And there was something else too I wanted to point out. Jerk. There's something else I want to point out too, and I don't know if you guys, this is kind of off the subject a little bit, but it's along the same lines of what we're trying to get at.
We've stayed on topic.
A lot of that's happening tonight.
You know,
it's still connected.
There's two things I've always heard, and one is what separates us from every other living creature that has a heartbeat on this planet is awareness.
Right.
Okay, we as human beings become aware at some point. And the second part of this is that time period is when you're a child, around the time that this kid was, that age. You know, so kind of lending to what he's saying about reincarnation, you know, having your card pulled and being given a body, it lends to that, and I think a pretty high probability that could be the case, because, you know, at some point that kid stops knowing that time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you look at a child, and the child isn't capable of going and looking in a mirror and going, "Oh, that's me." You know.
They're also more open to paranormal stuff too.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm getting at. They interact with that realm, whatever that is, easier than we do.
Right.
So that might have some credence that the ghosts that we're interacting with could very well be spirits being recycled, you know, in that
could
sense.
be.
You know, you die, you go back to that waiting room in the sky, so to speak, and then 30, 40 years from now, it's like, okay, it's your turn again. And you go and you're born into a body and you grow up and you remember it.
I would just like to say, that sucks.
Who would be?
You want to come back?
Someone's
Hell
going to be
no.
I would like to
Hitler
think that...
right now.
Huh?
Someone's going to be Hitler right now. I got to figure out who it is.
Hey, there's a lot of people that are in common day, that modern time, that you would think's Hitler. I mean...
Yeah, well, following that idea, you know, especially if it's a school, if you're sent back until you pass, oh yeah, he's here. He may be back. This may be his second time since he was Hitler, depending on, you know, how long he lived. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if it's the school idea, you know, which is what they propose when they talk about reincarnation, you keep coming back till you get it right.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
I mean, you're really screwed if you kill yourself. Because I hear like it's a
lot of karma to work off.
You gotta work the karma off, and people that come back, that karma just continually just builds up, and they end up killing themselves again, and then it all piles back on. And
so yours come back as a cockroach.
You have to be a do-gooder. Is that what you're saying? You have to basically be this.
I think you don't need to be an asshole. That's about
it. Yeah. All right. Well, now has anybody heard?
That's a lot more than not being an asshole.
Speaking of the Bible again,
oh,
you know, you've got some history with that. You've got some background on that as well, right? What's your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, have y'all heard of the possible theory that we're actually the fallen angels?
I'm pretty sure I've heard you talk about it before.
That we are. Our race is fallen angels?
That this whole reality, this again goes to the other podcast we want to do, but basically that this was not really a courtroom setting, but basically I've heard some call it that, but basically a created reality where we were to serve out the sentence, basically. And the idea is that there was Lucifer and his bunch. There was three class of angels. You know, the what is it? The cherubim, the seraphim, and I can't remember the other one. But there was the throne angels. They're the ones that stand by the throne. That's what their job is. There was the watchers, and there was the creators.
The watchers.
The Watchers was Lucifer and his bunch.
Right.
We were the creator ones. We came through, we did the task, and we moved on. We were the construction workers of the universe. And on the way out, we see Lucifer and his bunch stopping to take a look around, and they start messing with what we just made. And we're like, oh, hell no! And we go back, and a school fight breaks out. What happens in school when a fight breaks out? You're all in trouble. Everybody gets detention. Doesn't matter who threw the first punch. So we're all in trouble. Lucifer and his bunch says, you know what? F that. We're not going to take the judgment. We're not doing it. And they go rogue and solo. And we said, you're right, our bad. We shouldn't have done that. That's your department. We overstepped our boundaries. We will accept becoming man, dying like men, and working our way back into your good graces. And Lucifer and his bunch hate us so much because they didn't, and they see us as weak for doing that. That's that theory in a nutshell. And y'all are just looking at me like
we gave up our abilities in order to regain them back afterward.
Basically.
This is our punishment.
Yeah, like that we shall die like men, but that implies that men already exist, because that's the scripture as well. I think Jesus also said, "Do you not know that ye are gods?" He said that to the disciples as well. What?
That's not talking like pre-Adamic race or nothing. That's saying we were angels.
That theory that theory holds the idea that we were actually angelic beings at one point, and we,
Okay, so leaning on that,
but there's problems with that theory.
But
and
just
it's what John just brought up.
Leaning on that in just the basic form,
right?
I have a bigger question that maybe one of you can answer. Why is it that we are so far disconnected from all of the magic, I'm going to call it, that happened in the old times, in the Bible? All the miracles were being performed, If you're a Christian, Catholic, whatever, then you have to believe that those things happened, that that Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead after he's dead for 12 days or whatever. And you have to believe that he gave sight to the blind and
all that stuff.
You have to.
That's why I hate when you talk to a Christian and I don't believe in that paranormal shit. Really? Have you read the Bible?
Because
it's
there
was
a hell of a lot of paranormal stuff happening in
all kinds of crap.
10 AD. You know what I mean? It's like if you lived in that time, you witnessed
Giants
it every day,
and all kinds of crap.
and people were shocked by it.
Yeah,
but it was a common occurrence more so than it is now.
Oh, absolutely.
By today's standards, it would be called a common occurrence.
Right.
Today, we get nothing.
But
no miracles.
No
interacting
with. We do. We get the Lady of Guadalupe on a tortilla every now and then.
And she's delicious when we eat her.
But to go back to what John was saying, the problem with the we're the fallen angel theory is what about babies that were born today? Was there offense in the fight that took place? Were they just innocent bystanders, so their sentence is cut short? Or
you talking about babies that die young? Or you talking
that and people that babies that were just born. Some people came in thousands of years ago. If we're looking at it from Adam. Right, so we're looking at 6,000 years, give or take.
You're trying to hold a timeline. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to make some sense out of it. And none of these theories, there's holes in every one of these theories. No matter what you bring up, there's a hole in it some way.
Except the one that nobody wants to accept. That we're just mammals. We were born like a dog. We eat, live, breathe, and die, and turn into worm food and fertilizer.
That we are no more than Sims in a video game.
The basic atheistic...
Somebody's watching us right now and they're like, hey, we got to put these guys together to talk.
Well, the basic atheistic mindset would be that we're no different than a dog.
Right.
We have intelligence, and that's the separation between us and the animal kingdom.
I can't accept that.
Yeah, because you were saying Sims, and then I was like, about to say, no, atheist, there's nothing.
Right. Okay.
You happen, and then you don't.
That'll come up.
When we die,
that scares
we
a lot
become
of
the
people.
player, and we control everyone else.
But that becomes such a scary...
But then you can't be atheist if you believe that.
But
now that's gonna this right here it has a major section in the podcast I want to bring up next, where we talk about the holographic universe.
And we will talk about it, but at the same time, they all lend into each other.
They do.
And the fact of the matter is that we probably subconsciously want ghosts to exist so badly that it fulfills our need to feel like this is not just a one-shot deal, and we're no different than a dog in the street.
But the one to me that makes the most sense would be reincarnation, because looking at it from the standpoint, put yourself on the throne. Put yourself in God's shoes, the creator, whatever. Okay, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. At the beginning of the program, the programmer flipped the switch. I just said the exact same thing, two different ways. So put yourself in the creator's position, whatever that is.
He ran God.exe.
So
Control-Alt-Delete.
What
in program?
If you're an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving creator, and you create these beings, but if they don't follow your rules, they burn in hell forever. That's nice. You're a class act.
Not much of a loving
Yeah,
God,
not
is it?
much at all. So
I've thought of that same.
that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
It pretty is contradictory
It
to him
comes
being
down-
the God of love.
Totally.
It comes down
Yes,
to
because did you have a choice in your creation? And then now you're told, I have to suddenly obey you and follow you.
Takes away that
you're
whole
gonna-
free will
You're going to burn.
That's a
idea,
good point.
doesn't it?
it's-
I don't remember being asked if I wanted to be here.
And that comes down to fear. The church
Control.
put the fear into you.
For the
If
control.
you're a dick, you're going to go to hell.
Right.
You know?
Okay, so here's the thing. If you were in charge, and this is how I always looked at it, because I used to have those debates with Mom all the time. Well, if you ran the zoo, how would you do it? And I said reincarnation. You know, they're going to keep coming back until they get it right. It's either that or they would cease to exist. Why would I torture them forever and then call myself a loving God?
Yeah.
That makes no damn sense.
None at all.
None whatsoever.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
There's too many problems with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know? In heaven, he's going to wipe away all your tears. How's that possible if your wife and kids are burning in hell forever because they didn't do what they were supposed to? Oh, well, he'll just change your memory. Oh, so he's going to mess with my memories.
Make me forget my wife and kid.
You know what I'm saying? There's no way out of this.
Like
Doesn't
exactly
make
what
any
I
sense.
said. It takes away from the whole free will. So he's
Right.
not only a jealous God, he's a controlling God.
Something ain't right. Something about that just ain't right. It don't add up.
Maybe it could be that you don't have memories specific to yourself. You're all knowing
Right.
of everybody else's feelings and thoughts and whatever.
Yeah.
That sucks,
So,
though, to think that you could just be snuffed out like that.
Right.
You know?
But
So-
that would be the of the three choices there, ceasing to exist, coming back indefinitely until you get it right, or burning in hell forever. Yeah, that's not really much of
I
a
mean,
choice.
And going back,
Gotta
if
add your fourth
you
choice in
die
when you
really
get it
young,
right, what happens?
Yeah, what happens when you get it
What
right?
happens
Where
when
do
you get
go?
it right?
Do you go to the
I mean,
pearly
you-
gates
you're
and walk the
putting
streets of
three
gold?
three options here: snuffed out, go to hell, or come back. So what happens when I come back and I get it right?
Did you get it right? That's a whole separate issue. I've thought about that as well. Imagine what is heaven to you? What would be heaven to you?
Eternal happiness. No pain, no...
Okay.
Being
But-
with my loved ones again
but-
forever.
okay. But at some
investigating
point...
the humankind.
Start a paranormal group to investigate those dirty, nasty humans.
Exactly. But no matter what it is you're doing, now imagine doing that for eternity. It's going to get boring at some point. I don't care what the hell it is you're doing.
But eternity probably isn't like what you think, though. Because, you know, as like
Time.
you said,
Yeah, time is probably different.
yeah, it's got to be different.
I mean,
you
what
know?
if it's,
What would it be,
What if
though?
you get the happiness? Say,
I don't know the
say
ratio.
say your happiness is sitting on a beach fishing, but then
Right.
you're like, you know what? I want to go to Mars, and you go to Mars. You know,
And I
you, what if
believe-
you could change the happiness?
Yeah,
Right. Oh, I
that is
believe it would
happiness.
be
Then.
that
That
way.
would be the definition of happiness.
But even at some point, after a million, billion, trillion years, you know, and you're right, maybe it's not going to be time like we think of it now, but you're still going to be able to go, okay, now I'm doing this. I was doing that. Now I'm going to go do this. There's still a time sort to speak of, right?
You want
there's still
to switch jobs? You know, apply for another
And
human body.
And since we're on the subject, where's all this taking place at? You know, I've always looked at it like
Yeah,
this is a
where's
dark
paradise?
I've always looked at our galaxy and our universe
Where's paradise?
as a big terrarium, so to speak, like one big
Starbucks.
big
It's on my couch. watching
one big
TV.
aquarium, and there's this being out there that's so huge. You know, it's like
Right.
a whole other life form that's just giants. You know,
Uh-huh.
Jack and the Beanstalk, so to speak.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're up there and they're like, you know, playing with their little experiment, and we're this little grain of sand. You know.
Well, it could be, you know, again, going back to the Bible, there's a scripture that says, in him we live and move and have our being. That almost sounds like he is, or it, whatever it is everything, and we exist within whatever it is. So we are all just thoughts. We're
like
atoms.
Cells in a body. What?
And you know what? But you know what? What sucks for me though is
boogers.
Is when you we're amoebas. when you talk about stuff like this, and this is something I'm going to bring up real quick, and I think you all can probably relate.
It seems like we've drifted from what
We
goes
have.
on, but it's not really.
But here's the
This
thing.
is
I
all
think
related.
this is something
What are we?
that we can relate to. When we talk about this stuff publicly, we take a few risks. And one of them is you're going to have people that you've known your whole life, or maybe haven't, and that are Christians that believe you're Christian and believe you have a good heart because you're a Christian. Mm-hmm. And then they find out that you believe in aliens. Oh my God. And that you believe in maybe heaven ain't true. Oh my God. You can't be a Christian if you believe that, right? You can't be lukewarm and serve two gods.
There's too many man's laws. They put too many laws on things.
So my point is like, why does that have to be? Like, my God is what I want him to be. Okay, so I don't want that to predetermine where I end up. You know what I mean? Like, my judgment shouldn't be based around that.
So you create God
and
his image.
Well, like for example, everything can be analogy. How do you say that? Analytigy.
You were going with anal, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
I
let's stick with that.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So, I feel the urge to say penis for some reason. I don't know. But
Common shirt, come on.
So look at it like this. Like, I think I've said this a few times. It had explained to me like it was a comic book. Yeah, we're about to hear the buzzer. A comic book. And in the comic book, there was a race of aliens who had an ark, so to speak.
And you're Superman.
And
we've heard this before.
Shut up, let me talk. Damn it. And so there's these beings, and they mix all this DNA and these cells up, and they create this being, and then they turn him into a worker on a planet they've discovered that has all these resources they need.
And
your mama. And they find this planet with all these resources they need, and then they go and they create this being, and by mixing and splicing DNA, and they create a worker, and and then the planet had like some prehistoric race of being on it that was
like Zachariah Sitchin's theory.
Okay,
yep.
So anyway, they create this being, and then they're kind of in a sense God. Right. But they didn't make the being intelligent enough to think for itself. Uh-huh. But through time, it evolved and began to think, like, wait a minute, we're being used here.
Right.
And they revolted. And so they fought against the gods. Mm-hmm. And then the gods pulled away and left the planet alone. Yeah. Some even say that the story went in the direction of a atomic blast, and they tried to kill
ancient astronaut, Zachariah Sitchin,
that theory,
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So it's not saying I don't believe in a God. I just believe that maybe there's a creator. Like, there has to be a creator. There can never be. Programmer. I don't believe there can ever be. I don't believe there can ever be a successful machine being or outcome without an intelligent creator.
But how far does it go back? And where does it stop? Mm-hmm.
Right.
And where does that person?
But you know what? You look at the technology that's up here flying around in the skies, mm-hmm. and that's not a theory, and it's not my opinion. It happens.
The Black Knight satellite.
Probably I've heard people say that.
Pair of chubs.
I've heard people say that thing is probably the oldest thing in creation. You know that? I've heard people say that.
Really?
If we could ever get that Black Knight satellite and study it.
But I thought NASA said it was just some kind of a thermal blanket that the space shuttle will cut loose.
Blankets aren't square and hold shape.
That's what that was the official story.
Well, and it emits off a signal.
Now we're off the rails.
We went from God to space.
But to sum us all up, because we're at about the end of our...
I don't think you could sum us all up. There's no way.
Our perspective here. But... This started in what were ghosts, and
it's all related. It'll be fine.
So I guess to sum it up, you either got to have faith and believe in God, in the Bible, be some religious person to know that ghosts are just, or demons or devils or angels.
Intelligent design is some kind of intelligent being of some kind.
Or you're going to come at it from a scientific standpoint.
That we're a big floating accident, just a big, universal
or big
fart cloud.
Driven from nothing.
Yeah. I can't buy into that all this came from nothing. Oh, shit.
Well, what's funny about it is if you go back as far as the Mayans and the Aztecs and even like the Hopi Indians believe that, the paranormal existed. They were the biggest believers in things shape-shifting, and they actually shared space with Bigfoot.
Right.
They believed that he was the hairy man of the woods, There's stories where they would fight with him and he would kill you. I know you've heard these stories.
Yeah. Lovelock Cave incident and all that. Absolutely.
So this
John knows all about that.
This predates this predates us all, But I just feel like we're getting farther and farther away from we're getting farther and farther away from
this
our
one's
roots.
over. So if you're still listening, God bless you.
Nut job, get a life.
We'll try to stay on target better next time.
These
are related though.
When it comes down to it, there's one rule we should all follow.
And that is?
Don't be an asshole.
I agree. Here.
But yeah.
So, just stop. Just stop.
Ghost. Hey, it ain't over till it's over, damn it.
That's right. So
I edit these things.
It's over now.
So let's sum it up then. Ghost to you.
I have no idea.
I'm completely off the rails.
I'm still Leonard Nimoy on it. I'm in search of.
You're still looking for interaction, and I'll tell you what though. And I was going to say this early on in the podcast, and I'm going to say it before it's over here. I feel like, and this could be other people as well. I feel like you're so hyper. And I don't mean this in a bad way.
Not me.
I'm not trying to be insulting. I feel like sometimes your brain, it works so fast, and you're always in a hurry, and you're doing. Sometimes I think things get by you, dude. You just can't slow down long enough to smell the roses.
That may be it. There may be a lot of activity that I missed because I was just moving too fast.
Because John's in slow motion, so
excuse for John.
Well, he's following him though with the camera. So if he's trying to keep up with you, it's getting past you both. I
think it's the frequency thing.
I'm an observer, and I observe, and I want stuff to happen so badly that I've been accused of self-manifestation. Like, you sure you didn't just manifest that in your own mind just because you want to see it so badly? Like, no, man. I've had interactions. It's a whole other podcast I can do by myself.
I want that experience.
Telling you about my experiences
when it happens.
Yeah. I mean, we all want the Holy Grail.
But a higher power inside the body is that self-manifestation, us being able for a second grasp a hold of some of that energy and make it appear.
So in other words, all paranormal activity, we're creating ourselves. It's like a projection from ourselves.
Well, dude, I'll tell you what.
Wow,
if you lend to the theory that we only use a small percentage of our brains, then it's limitless what we can do.
We just got deep, gentlemen. That was Jacques Cousteau had to come up for air on some of those topics. We just said just now. He's like, I can't do that.
So
I like it.
I know we need to.
What she said.
I knew that was going to be worked in.
I know we need to sum up this podcast, and I feel like there's going to be a part 2.
There's going to have to be.
There's got to be a part 2 because you know what? My theories. I have 2 that I hold on to close to heart, but I have other ideas too. That spawn off of that and what could be.
Right.
So I definitely want to talk about it. I don't feel like I want this to end because I don't feel there's any. I don't feel we
part 2 right now.
I don't feel like we've defined what we're here for in our theories. Because I don't think anybody listening right now could say, "Oh, well, yeah, well, how about Lopez? This? Oh, his theory is this."
Like you're saying, how about we end this one and we part 2 it, and we'll bring it into the holographic and simulated universe theory because that's all part of it.
Put a pin in that. We're going to go.
We're going to have a part 2 that takes us everywhere. So.
All right, people. So, reluctantly, I'm going to end this podcast by saying thanks for listening and checking us out. And
God bless you.
Keep it paranormal. And peace till next time.
Later.
Tune in next week. Is part 2 going to be in line?
It should be.
I think
Or are
So-
we gonna skip?
So
you know,
here's
put
the
some
good
of those
part.
in
We can
between?
just hit pause and
just keep going.
And
Yeah.
but we're still recording. We didn't give a shout out to our guest either.
Do you want a huge?
Oh,
So I'm a part
speaking of that, we haven't ended this one yet. We're still talking. I wanted to give a shout out to the Until Dawn the Until Dawn podcast because they gave us our second 5-star review. Thank y'all very much.
Oh wow, props.
They're awesome. Definitely go check them out. They're on iTunes, Instagram. They're everywhere. They're awesome.
Cool deal. Cool deal. Thank you guys for the 5-star rating
Absolutely.
review. And y'all stay tuned because we will have a part 2 of this. I'm sure of it.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Once again, thanks for listening to us ramble on. I'm Shaggy, and I'm addicted to the paranormal, also reminding you to question everything and believe very little.
And I'm Huck, and I'm addicted to the paranormal as well. Also reminding you that conspiracy happens, and that's not a theory. Keep it paranormal, people.
This is J-Lo speaking, and I'm addicted to the paranormal. And we would like to take the time to thank our sponsor, Para-holiX Anonymous, where it's okay to be addicted to all of us.